We want to bring you some new reporting out just this morning from the Associated Press on this bizarre, deepening international mystery that's currently under investigation by multiple U.S. agencies. Remember, the State Department had confirmed back in August that a number of American diplomats working at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba were having this really wide range of strange medical symptoms. The cause? Nobody knows. We do know that all of this started in late 2016, and officials at the highest level of the Cuban government say Cuba is not behind these incidents or these attacks. And today, the Associated Press has new details on how the State Department is responding to this. Joining me now is one of the authors, one of the reporters on that story, Josh Lederman, friend of this show and national security and foreign policy reporter for the AP. We're also joined by Tamara and Ken, who are back with us as well. So, Josh, a scoop for you guys today. Walk us through what we know, what is happening with these this Cuba incident.
Some major developments in this today, Hallie. The U.S. is going to draw down more than half of its embassy in Havana. They are also issuing a travel warning telling Americans, tourists, travelers, we do not think you should go to Cuba. It may not be safe. Now, so far, we have not had reported to the government cases of tourists being hit by these mysterious health attacks. But the State Department is now saying, look, our diplomats have been hit in hotels in Havana, and if you travel to Havana as a tourist even, and you stay in these hotels, we can't say that you're going to be safe.
Hey, so we know 21 diplomats have been affected by whatever this is, and when it first came out, it was the sonic attacks. People were getting these strange symptoms like headaches, like hearing loss, right?
That's right. Hearing loss, and we have learned about really even more extreme symptoms and diagnoses, including mild traumatic brain injury. Concussions,
basically.
People who are having problems concentrating and other cognitive issues.
Let's be clear. The diplomats are being withdrawn for their own safety at this point. This is not a punishment, it seems, at this point to Cuba, because the State Department doesn't know who's behind this.
That's right. The State Department's not pointing the finger at Cuba, but they're saying, look, in other situations where you have a natural disaster, you have a public health crisis that threatens Americans, we pull out our staff to the extent possible, and that's what they're doing here.
Tamara and Ken, I want you to listen to what the State Department spokesperson had to say, because this has come up. Josh, you know, you're in those briefings. This has come up quite a bit. And here was what she said about Secretary Tillerson's review of all this.
The Secretary continued to express his profound concern for Americans who are employed by the U.S. Embassy in Havana. The Secretary is reviewing all of his options. We are reviewing how to best protect our American personnel.
And Tamara and Ken, it appears as though this withdrawal that the AP is reporting is how the State Department has determined to do that.
Yeah, and a warning to tourists not to go to Cuba. Well, tourism is a big part of Cuba's economy now. This is the door opening to American tourists was a big deal. So if people were to change their travel plans, that could also be a big deal.
Now, to be clear, NBC News has not confirmed your reporting, Josh, over at the AP, but if it turns out, as the federal government is looking into who is behind this, that Cuba is not responsible, isn't that pretty ominous?
Yeah, it's really concerning. I mean, we haven't gotten to the point where we're expelling Cuban diplomats from the U.S. We did that of two of them in May. But, you know, we're a long way from 2015 when Raul Castro and Obama, you know, opened the door to these new diplomatic relationships.
He makes a really good point. There had been a lot of hope for the fact that the U.S. was making progress with Cuba. 50 years of enmity between the countries starting to fade, and now you're going to have, you know, barely a skeleton staff at the embassy, almost like when we had only an interest section down there. A big knock toward the Cuban economy, as Tamara was pointing out. This is going to be really difficult.
So what is the State Department doing to try to figure out who is actually behind this? How do they sleuth this out?
There has been a massive investigation going on for close to a year now. The FBI has gone down to Havana. So has the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties, because there have been some Canadian diplomats hit. They've brought in U.S. intelligence agencies, public health agencies, all kinds of people, and they have not found out what did this or who did this.
That is so strange.
It's bizarre, it's scary, and for our diplomats who are down there, it's something that they have to think about all the time.
Okay.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.